July 17th, 2012, Tuesday. Joseph spent the whole day playing at home with Alex and his new robotics toys. His younger brother could sometimes be a little annoying when they were playing, but he was the only playmate he had right now. After lunch, he started to feel ill, and his mother promptly had Joseph use the inhaler. His mother thought he looked drunk after using it. He found it hard to concentrate or remember for the next hour or so. As dinner time approached, Father came home early. He didn't go to work at all the day before. He just stayed home to make sure everything was all right. Joseph just watched as his father floated around like an unneeded part. Mother had the house running smoothly as she had always done. She convinced him going to work would be best. Now that we know what to look for, I'm sure everything will be fine. Besides, are you going to stay home from work for weeks waiting for tests to come back? She questioned, knowing the answer. Dinner was just being put on the table when through the front window the family saw a black minivan pull into the driveway and park. A pretty woman in her 30s stepped out of the van carrying some papers. She was dressed like she just came from the office and walked quickly to the front door. Father opened the door before she could knock. "Can I help you?" he asked. "My name is Claire Woods. I'm from the Heroes Union. I have Joseph Pringle's test results," she said. "Please, come in, Miss Woods." "Is your wife here also?" "Yes, please come this way," he said as he led her back to the dining room. In the dining room, Mrs. Pringle and the two boys looked at the lady as she entered the room. "This is Miss Woods from the Heroes Union. She has Joseph's results." "Pleased to meet you, Mrs. Pringle," she said as she extended her hand and shook hands while smiling warmly. "It's nice to meet you. Well, what are the results of the test?" "I don't mean to interrupt your dinner, but it would be best if we could sit down for a moment to go over them," Miss Woods said, waiting for suggestions from the Pringles. "We can put dinner off for a while. Please sit down," Mr. Pringle said as he started moving dishes out of the way. Mother started moving food back into the kitchen. "Is this little Joseph?" Miss Woods said to the older of the two little boys. Joseph thought he was never going to be introduced. He knew his parents were eager to get the results, but they forgot he was there altogether. "Yep, I'm Joseph." Miss Woods reached over to shake his hand and looked at him like he was an adult. "I'm especially pleased to meet you, Joseph." "Well, I'm pleased to make your acquaintance also," Joseph said. He had heard words like that in a movie once. It seemed like a good time to use them. As soon as the Pringles were all seated, Miss Woods began. Both tests for Mr. and Mrs. Pringle came back as a near miss, but not an ordinary near miss. Both of you are exceptional near misses, meaning your strength, endurance, intelligence, longevity, memory, senses, and everything else test out as high as a near miss can and not be classified as super. "That's all right, though. I mean, that should be a good thing. Strong DNA should make strong kids," Mrs. Pringle said hopefully. "Yes, it's perfectly fine, normally. Both boys are just like their parents, perfect near misses. There is a difference with Joseph, however. Joseph has naturally developed the ability to transmute matter. He is a matter transmuter. That's his superpower." "So, there's nothing wrong with them? He just has a superpower?" Mr. Pringle said happily. "I have a superpower? How neat is that?" Joseph said with a smile. His mother was still not smiling. "Does this mean he can go back to his normal life?" "He needs to learn how to control his power before he can be considered safe to the public. That's why—" Miss Woods tried to continue. "Safe? There are superheroes who throw fireballs and they're allowed in public," Mother said. "Honey," Mr. Pringle said as he put half a hand up like a signal to stop. "You were going to say something else," he said to Miss Woods. "Yes, I was saying, that's why I have been authorized to give you this." Miss Woods handed Mr. Pringle an envelope. He quickly opened and read the contents of the letter. "Is this some kind of joke?" "What does it say?" Joseph asked. "It's an invitation to attend Alpha Academy. Joseph is just an 11-year-old boy who turned something into steel. He can't possibly be up to that kind of challenge," Mr. Pringle said. "Your son's powers are in their infancy, and look at what happened by an uncontrolled expression of that infancy. Without proper training, he will never be allowed near other people." Miss Woods paused for a moment, then continued. "Only at Alpha will he get the training he needs. Joseph has been given a waiver to attend now at age 11, rather than wait another 3 years for classes to begin." Both parents looked at each other, and Mr. Pringle said, "We'll have to discuss this as a family. I'll need a call back tonight. she said as she handed them her card and a folder of papers. Here is some literature on Alpha, the instructors, the education is second to none, track record with students, and some pictures of the campus. She stood from the table. Why do you need a call back so soon? Mrs. Pringle asked. He would have to depart Saturday for Alpha, Miss Woods said as they walked her to the door. 4 days? Joseph would have to go away in 4 days? Mr. Pringle asked loudly. Now Miss Woods changed her tone and was very serious. Without training, your son's episodes will become more frequent until they are almost constant. How long do you want to keep him drugged up by that inhaler? I'm sorry to have interrupted your dinner, she said as she walked out the door. Wait, said Mr. Pringle. What time will you be here Saturday? Mrs. Pringle and Joseph looked at him, but before Mother could protest, Father said, He cannot live in this house as a shut-in. Look, our son isn't sick. We would be rotten parents if we put him on drugs because we didn't want to deal with reality. I'll be here at 10 a.m. Saturday to pick him up. You're doing the right thing, Miss Woods said. Father held the front door open and said, I think at this point, we're doing the only thing we can. Miss Woods didn't say goodbye. She just gave a sympathetic smile and walked to her van. That went much better than I thought it would, she thought as she climbed into her vehicle.